All right, it is episode 128 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me this week, as usual, Steven.
May the 4th be with you.
I've been so busy today, I completely forgot that was actually today. And what I haven't forgotten also, though, is Chris.
It's Free Comic Book Day.
Fuck, I forgot about that, too. See, I forgot everything. I've been so busy today. Oh, man, it's been hectic. Hopefully you guys have not been as crazy busy as I've been recently for your own health and sake. But we will at least find out what you have been up to as we move very quickly over into what you've been doing. So, Steven, let's start with you. What you been up to?
Since I was at the end of it, I finally beat Cat Quest.
Yay!
And unlocked Mew Game. MEW. Woo, which you can add modifiers to it, but I don't, other than a small little conversation at the end, I don't get any kind of payout. I don't get an ending. It's just like, okay,
really,
go forth and explore. I was like, they probably hopefully fix that in the second one. So on to the second one now as I wait. I don't want to go through it too quickly because then I have to wait for the third one to come out. So there's that. On the co-op front, I have been playing Evil West. We're getting through that pretty steadily now. And there is at least one or two characters that really embrace their roles. They probably have some of the best lines in the game. It is definitely an M-rated game, especially with the language. But we're enjoying it. It's simpler. It's not as detailed as a game like Gears 5, which I'm playing as my favorite character, Jack, because I just like going around shocking locusts until they explode. It's so satisfying. And I like seeing Jeremy and Chase squirm listening to Dave Bautista be Marcus Phoenix. So it is awesome.
So weird. It just feels so unnatural.
Since I'm already on PlayStation, I've been playing Helldivers 2, which we'll discuss what I meant by that. Staying steady with that. I still like what they're doing. I was fine with the update, except for they're making it harder if you play by yourself, so that wasn't very fair. So they're just saying, stop playing by yourself, play with friends, or die. So there's that. And then on the starting front, I started another Crab's Treasure because I was like, let me give it a shot, and it is very, very Souls-like. To the part where you'll just be walking around this open world, and suddenly you'll just see a giant energy bar appear, and you're like, oh fuck. The game is full accessibility options. Everything from trying to make the enemies weaker didn't help, making you stronger didn't help, to my favorite, where they just say, you know what, instead of a shell, how about we just give you a gun and you can shoot everybody. And then you can go around with a full-size gun. It does one-shot bosses and enemies, but you still have to aim it and hit them. So yes, you can still die a lot, which I did. The game is full of very, very funny humor, especially mocking different products or trash that you find. My favorite so far is I can't believe it's not butter, but in this game it's seriously, if this package does not contain butter, I'm going to lose it. And it's got a whole story on the back of the box. It's funny as hell.
I think I saw something about Mario cigarettes or something.
Yeah, it was Mario cigarettes. It's just all the knockoff products are some of the best things I've seen in there. But other than that, the last thing I did was I started RoboCop Rogue City. I'm really impressed. I love that they had got the rights to the theme and even some remixes of the theme, so you get to hear that. They got Peter Wellers. So we got him in there as well. Nice little original story going on. I like that it's open world, so I'm just walking around doing quests as RoboCop, so it's very unique. It's reminding me that Nacon is making almost like these Fallout type games now, especially now that Fallout's popular, super popular. But yeah, it's surprisingly some of the best graphics I've seen in a shooter in a while, in terms of just how they do blood effects, how it stays where they bleed. to
really?
destruction of environments, and then my favorite, I got an achievement right away for doing the infamous dick shot. So
I need to play my copy. I have it. It's been kind of backburnered between everything else going on.
but I decided, I was like, you know what? I left it in my system, and I've been playing Game Pass. I was like, let me just play what's actually in the system. And I was like, oh wow, I'm really addicted to this. I should stop so I can play Gears 5 with the guys.
There you go. All right, Chris, what about you? What have you been doing?
I'm still preparing for my D&D campaign. I've never DM'd before, so it's a lot of prep, a lot of fretting, and a lot of expecting screwing up, but it's still fun. And helping me write, I've just been listening to a lot of retro stuff, a lot of Genesis / Mega Drive stuff like Steel Empire, one of the best soundtracks, I would say, Rocket Knight Adventures, Sonic CD, and then we also have Undertale and Deltarune for the PC stuff. Video game music helps me think. And
Good.
Aside from that, it was also Free Comic Book Day. So I picked up some silly things like Mad, which is, I'm very happy it's still around because, we also have Barkham Asylum, featuring one of Joker's guard dogs. Asterix, an old favorite of mine.
Oh, wow.
And then we have Thundercats,
Ooh.
which I always appreciate.
Yes.
And Sagi Yojimbo, the first comic series that I ever got into. And April, the April special with apes.
Good old
And Gorilla
Detective
Grodd's
Chimp.
in here, because of course he is.
Yeah, Gorilla God makes sense.
I had him get me some of the video game ones like Far Cry and the Street Fighter versus Final Fight.
Oh, there you go.
Which, like, I guess Street Fighter is just not getting along well with everybody. It's Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers, it's Street Fighter versus Final Fight, it's Street Fighter versus Turtles.
The only comic book stuff I have are just my normal issues I picked up. Like I got the X-Men 97 #1, and this is from like a week or two ago.
Nice.
I don't know if I showed this one before or not. I finally got the Death in the Family issue of Batman when Robin died, with Mike Mignola doing the artwork.
Very cool.
I've got my Star Trek, my Transformers, Void Runners, and of course, I got to get the second issue still, but the first issue of the Ghostbusters that's in between the last two movies. Since I missed Free Comic Book Day, that's the comics I have right now that I've picked up. So, all right, well, I guess I will jump into what else I've been up to. And this one is one that Steven was looking for. We talked about prior that I finally found. And that would be Alex from the Sega collection from Streets of Rage.
Yep, I found it as well, thankfully.
Yeah, which I do have, of course, I as well as just labeled
as werewolf.
Yeah, just werewolf for
Well, what are they going to call him? Like, risen from the grave warrior.
I don't know. Does he have an actual name?
I thought he had a name. But
he was a centurion. I know that as much. He's a dead centurion who was risen from the grave.
I finally found the Transformers animated Bumblebee to go with my animated Prime that I got.
Nice.
And these are the new Legacy United set. So he's smaller because they're meant to be actually in scale to each other now. So Prime got bigger, he got smaller. And that's why stuff like for the video game versions, the Starscream from Fall of Cybertron got way bigger than his original toy was.
Huh.
So I kind of like that they're doing that for some of them. They're releasing a few from different sets that are properly sized.
Neat.
Well, they're doing that with the 86 series, which is all based off the Transformers, the movie from 1986. That whole run, everything's in scale. So the Dinobots are huge.
I can imagine.
Like they're big, like good God. So that's always kind of fun. God help us if they make a Devastator, because that'll be like a toddler. Like that thing put together could probably be bigger than Unicron. So
Skylynx would probably be pretty big too.
Yeah, he wasn't in that movie though. Is the only problem.
Oh, that's true. I'm just thinking outside the box.
No. Still, I have a lot of Sky. I have to send you. I've got a lot of good Skylynxes from a couple different generations. He was pretty big. Him and Jetfire. Good God. The other thing though is I got the 3D printer going again, and I made this. This I printed out because I did the Kickstarter for the Modi Box stuff, which is what I was getting the 3D printer going again for. But this, you can hold drinks, and it's a dice tower. So I can roll dice, and then it has a tray that you just set it down on, and it gives it a lip. You can roll your dice and then drink your drinks.
Okay, the first thing I can think of is, okay, roll the. Ah!
Yeah, don't roll the whole cup. You just drop your dice into there. I'm going to work on making more of these, and since I know you're doing D&D stuff, Chris, I will be trying to get one to you.
Oh dear.
Well, I'll be finding out what colors you guys want. This one, it turned out really nice. This took 11 and a half hours to print.
Jeez.
Well, I gave it extra outer walls for strength and all that stuff, and then the base only took like 2.5 hours.
DM will stand for drunk master.
It will hold
Putting
bottles.
beer in that.
It'll hold it.
Oh dear.
I already tossed the bottle, but like I put a root beer bottle in here, and it fit a little loosely. A can fits so nicely, it actually slowly slides in, and you have to be careful taking it out because it almost feels like it has a suction, like as it's in there. So it's pretty damn well done. So I'm going to be working on printing some of those boxes for holding stuff and other things. And also I've got a bunch of wall mounts for controllers that people have made for particular ones. I'm going to print some of those out, bolt them on the wall, and be able to hang up controllers with that for like systems I'm actively using. I'll probably set up like a little charging station there, and that way I can swap them out easier.
Nice.
So,
Very cool.
Well, I have the big, it's originally a shoe holder that goes in the back of a door, but that's holding all my freaking controllers. It's ridiculous. Like I can hold keyboards. I can hold the multiple Wii U gamepads, entire sets of Wavebirds, all the controllers, everything in there. So that's a really good one too. I'll have to get pictures of that. Of course, Steven, you already mentioned we've been playing Gears 5, and yes, Batista as Phoenix is uncomfortable sometimes, and I think it's inconsistent. I swear they switched back at one point.
There was one like radio conversation which I was like, that's not him.
I wonder if it was, and he was just trying to imitate it. Like he's not bad. It's just we are now 6 games in, because we played Gears 1, 2, we played 3, we played Judgment, we played the extra stuff for Judgment and 3, we played 4, now we're on 5, and it's just Marcus has been the same voice the entire time. And then all of a sudden now it's just like, this feels weird. Feels wrong.
Loving it.
Like, why couldn't they have like aged him up in the game? Like make him look like Marcus, because Marcus is like gray hair.
Literally
scar in his face.
A scan of him. That's why he looks a little out of place, because he's not an exaggerated 3D model either. So.
Well, they just copy pasted Batista. Like there's no Marcus-fying of him, I guess. It's just, I get it. He wants the role. Good for him. And the fact that he managed to get them to put him in there is hilarious. I really wish somebody just made some stupid joke only on that mode, going like, you look different. It's been a while. I haven't seen you, Are you feeling all right?
I'd love to see him talk about how he's invisible and just eating a chip.
I've made that joke while we played before. Oh, man. We really should record those sometimes, but it feels better just to have us play it because we could just be stupid. And lastly, the other game I've been playing is Endless Ocean Luminous, which came out to terrible reviews. This thing has been just nailed to the wall. Some of them have been okay. I think the highest I've seen is a 7. Most places going as low as a 3 or lower.
Did they not like the first one?
So here's the thing. I even went back and watched the old IGN reviews of the older games. Matt Casamassina was the guy at the time doing those. He liked them. He understood what they were supposed to be, and I think that's the problem. People are going into Endless Ocean expecting Doom. Like, that was the argument. People were upset. They're like, oh, it's so slow. I'm like, you're swimming in water. We're not shooting around.
Isn't Dave the Diver?
Right. They keep comparing it to like Abzu and stuff like that, where there's like, oh, all this life everywhere and aliens and action and you can die. And I'm like, that's not the point. The whole point of it, and I've played so many hours of this already. I've only had it for one day. I stayed up till like 2:00 last night in the morning playing it because I was just having fun, chilling out, and 100%ed the map I was in, which is no small feat. I think I went up 19 levels when I finished the dive for the night. Like on my first one, just boop, 19 levels done. But I found hundreds of fish, sharks, different sea life everywhere as I'm exploring around. And I even unlocked the stuff to find like a mythical, made up creature that they added in there that was swimming around. And I like the fact that your dive area is randomly generated when you go to it. So if you go to a new dive, it just generates the whole area, and it's not a small area. Like you go for a while, but it gives you a code where you can share with others the same seed that you started with, so they get it and they can explore it. I haven't done multiplayer yet. That's still up to 30 people, which seems hectic but fun. But it's great. Like if I'm gonna just chill out and play it, like how I relax because I've been stressed out recently. I can listen to podcasts while I'm playing it or do something else. It's fun and educational. I know that's not a word everyone likes, but every fish, every creature you scan has a spoken synopsis that is given about them. So they'll talk about their lifestyles or how they look. There's variations of them. Like you may find a younger or older version of different things where they change through their lifetime, or there's, species. Like there was a pink stingray that exists. I looked it up. This damn thing's real. Jennifer was so happy to find out there's a pink stingray out there because it's apparently a genetic mutation that happened with them where they are pink. Everywhere they were black on this stingray, they are now pink.
It's like the blue lobster.
Right. Found one of those. I even found the rock lobster that I have since I was a kid. My dad got it. We ate it, cleaned it out, and preserved it, and I still have the shell, the front half of it. Found that little guy running around. I'm like, oh, that's what your butt looks like, because that's been gone for decades. So people need to get over the expectation that if a game is not shooting and killing stuff or having a risk of danger or death or getting hurt, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. They just, because you can't die, you can't drown, you can't get attacked by stuff. There's no time limit. It's just relaxing swimming.
Yeah, it reminds me of when and I'm calling you out, IGN. Reminds me when they reviewed Tetris Evolution for Xbox 360 and they gave it like 4.
Uh-huh.
And they said it was because it was too expensive. And I was just like, price shouldn't really play so hard into your rating of the game because things go on sale. So then what happens? If that's your biggest negative is Tetris is too expensive, come on. It's Tetris, I would expect maybe a 6 because they could say it's just Tetris because there wasn't any modes that really stood out.
Right.
But to just put that as a negative thing, it's too expensive. I was like, come on, guys. It was $30 at the time. Now it's like probably like 10 or 5.
They probably could have said, there's not enough modes for blah blah instead of
these are the guys who said there's too much water in Pokemon games. So
God.
People already made the joke like maybe that's why they gave it a bad review because IGN gave it like a 3. Like they did not like
there's
it.
Too much water in Endless Ocean.
But like they were expecting like he wants to be able to feel danger while he's swimming around, and like that's not the point. And my argument for that is the fact that like I let Jennifer play it today because I came home from what we were doing for a little bit. She hopped on and we played it. She could see what was going on. And I found like in that first area, I had a whale shark and she's like, holy crap, that thing's huge. And, it talks about it. And I'm showing her like some of the dolphins that were in the area. And, I told her about the stingray. I couldn't find where it was at, but it was there. So she was really excited about it. And so I gave her the cartridge and she's been playing it all day. She gave it back, but now she wants her own copy because she liked being able to just swim around. There is no time limit. There is no danger. There's, it's not going to be her fighting with it. And
like, have they ever even played Everblue too? It's like Arika just makes games that are just, when they do a game like that, that's not their typical fighting game that they were used to doing. They just take a easy approach. It's just lose yourself.
Yeah, our UK friend Rob, I recommended the game to him. I sent it to him. I was like, he's looking for relaxing, as he puts it, walking games to kind of explore around and check out areas, which is what he likes about like Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that. I was like, it's not technically walking, but it's certainly exploration. Like I was finding caves, going underwater. There's a day-night cycle. Apparently I was diving for 34 days. Because it doesn't care. There is no limit. I am well beyond, like, I should have died of starvation, if not only run out of air.
That's no fun.
Right. Well, who cares? So, I don't know. Just give the game a try. It was fun. I liked it. I'm going to go back and play it again. I'm having fun with it. It's missing a few things from the last Endless Oceans, like going on the boat and doing some of that stuff. But that was kind of awkward the way they did it before anyway, so I don't really miss it. So whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we just need to understand kind of what it's for. It's just very weird how those reviews couldn't take that into account. And they don't seem to understand not every game has to be a run and gun shooter. So, anyways. So, now that we've ranted about some crap, let's go on to the news. All right, so IGN had hosted the ID at Xbox showcase, and we have some highlights of that. We're not going to go through the whole thing because, they rambled for a while. That thing went on and on and on. Not in a bad way, just a lot of stuff. A couple of the titles, and Steven, if you want to take a couple of these, I know you kind of went over some of it. Go for it.
Yeah, so first one they announced before, they just wanted to show more of it, and that it was coming to Game Pass, and that's 33 Immortals. Basically, it's putting Hades on its head by saying this will be a 33-player co-op action roguelike where you can drop in, do a raid, fight big bosses, do crazy quick adventures. It's just meant to be chaotic, but more like a spectacle every time you play.
That's 3 more players than Endless Ocean.
They're going to have a closed beta on May 24th, and most of the games we'll be talking here are either coming to Game Pass already, but have been announced for like Xbox Series systems and PC as well.
Right. I'm surprised this one's showing Xbox One on there.
They did have All You Need Is Help announced as well, coming out fall 2024. These are the Pixel Junk Monster devs. It is a very creepy trailer.
It looks fun, though. I want to play it.
It looks like somebody took Tetris and the party mode from Super Monkey Ball and mashed them together, because now you're each playing a Tetramino, I'm going to call it, but you're a furry Tetramino.
I'm waiting for one of those just to be like with that weird smile. It's just like, I am in a horrible shape. Please
and
kill me.
You can rotate your body, and you can. All you need is help. You call your friends for help, and it reminds me of what the bonus mode from Katamari Damacy would be, and I'm like,
oh my god,
very freaky. Speaking of freaky, the game I was really interested in seeing was Centum. Only because it's Serenity Forge, and Hack the Publisher is the dev, which sounds already weird enough. But you can't describe it without just reading from the official site that says it's an unreliable narrative-driven adventure game. At first, it appears to be a point-and-click adventure, which it does. You're pointing and clicking on things to collect inventory,
right?
And you're a prisoner in a cell. But then things start shifting. Sometimes the cell becomes a house with a cat, and then it goes back to a cell. So at first, you think, "Oh, I'm a prisoner in a cell," and it's saying I have 100 days to escape. But is that really the goal? Is what they're saying? So the whole game, trying to masquerade as a point and click, is playing with your mind, and it's trying to trick you into thinking you're playing a different game. The trailer is definitely trippy because it keeps throwing different things at you, and you're like, "Am I in somebody's brain right now? Because this is really freaky."
Yeah, that sounds disturbing.
In a fun way, though.
Yeah, this next one I was actually kind of interested in, the Commandos Origins. Rebooted the original for console and PC, but it kind of had some fun, like first-person parts where you can man the guns and do stuff, and they're kind of combining an actual third-person shooter and everything with the old real-time strategy that a lot of them was based on.
Yeah, 2 and 3 are out already as HD remasters, but now this one they're kind of doing almost like the Resident Evil treatment. They're like, what if we just like reboot this and see what it's like?
It kind of, just from what I saw, and tell me if this makes sense, it feels like this was meant to be like a summer of arcade type game, like an Xbox Live Arcade made title. Well, just for the way it's designed and it looks, it just kind of, that's not a bad thing. It's just that's the feeling I get when I see it.
Yeah.
I'll find out more. There's a closed beta coming this summer. I'll probably give it a shot just to see.
A very unique one that I was
Mhm.
very surprised watching the trailer was Pharaoh of the Sundered Tribes. So it is an open world co-op survival crafting RPG where you can collect creatures or monsters. Don't think Pokemon, because when you see the gameplay and how you traverse, it really feels like Tears of the Kingdom crossed with Spider-Man. And I say that because you can use this almost mystic bionic arm and swing from all these different objects around the world. And when you're not swinging around, you're using like these wings to float. So I was just like, okay, so we're taking the floating thing from Tears, and then we're taking Spider-Man, because you can do a lot of acrobatic things. So I was just
Right.
like, you know what? Out of all the open world games coming out, I was like, I'm kind of intrigued how this works. I hope there's a demo eventually. All we have is it's coming out this year, but dang, that looks weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, the next one is one that we've seen before, but we finally got to see more gameplay of it, which I was happy, which was Dungeons of Hinterberg, which just looks ridiculous. Like you're supposed to be just on vacation, but you keep having to wander into these places and basically kind of dungeon dive. I love the art style of it. Like absolutely love how it looks. So that kind of caught me originally. The gameplay looks pretty fun. Uh,
And
and
that's
this,
July 18th, so that's pretty soon.
yeah, I'm probably going to end up picking this one up and just give it a shot. So, yeah.
Then of a publisher or developer I haven't heard of, Gamera Games, showed a whole montage, and I was like, all right, what have you got?
Hmm.
They did have like a pixel-based adventure game called The Rewinder that's actually out now. It was like 2D done.
Mhm.
Reminds me of like the Two Crowns Kingdom games and such in terms of its pixel art.
Okay.
Then to get a little bit freakier, they showed Firework, which is actually a horror puzzle game. They showed some RPGs that are done in their own art styles, like depersonalization, Keplerth, and then one that I don't understand yet, and I need to know more, is Volcano Princess, because it's just called a fantasy parenting simulator. And I was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing?"
That sounds weird. I have no idea. This next one, I think Chris is one that you're very interested in.
Well, I haven't watched these, but you
Oh.
guys are talking about it.
I think what he liked most is it's labeled as Hangry, is called a snack and slash RPG, because you're basically already pissed off because you're hangry, but
Been there.
you're sent out to get these ingredients for the chef so you can become the planet's best hunter. And you're not supposed to eat the merchandise, but again, you're hungry, and you're basically going out there with your bare fists and beating the ever living piss out of different monsters to acquire the necessary ingredients.
It's like that manga Toriko.
Think Battle Chef Brigade in 3D and a little bit crazier, where it's
Oh my
less of a
God.
competition and more of a, I need you to kill 3 of these, 4 of these, and you kind of get the idea. It's one of those games, though, that it is taking a comedic approach, and we need more of those games.
I'm down for it. It sounds weird in a fun way. So I'm cool with that. Next up, we had Humanity, which is coming to Game Pass. This was, I believe, already released on PlayStation before.
Yep.
So where you play as a Shiba Inu, it's a type of dog, and help reconstruct mankind in this action puzzle game, kind of like Lemmings, where you're guiding the people through different actions to get somewhere. It's really weird looking, but I've heard it's really fun. So
That is not how I expected that to go. Now I need to see. Now there are 2 games that I need to look at.
yes. And if there are any children listening, cover your ears for a moment. We have the Jackbox Naughty Pack coming in 2024. This is Jackbox's first M-rated game, which doesn't count the fact that everybody, and I mean everybody, I'm looking at you, drew dicks in a lot of their games.
I
Yes,
was about
Steven?
to say, Jackbox has been M-rated ever since you could just play it.
Well, they said some classic characters are going to be returning, so I'm guessing some of these characters are not going to be holding back anymore.
Nice.
Okay.
So the presentation is definitely going to be M-rated.
I think this is going to be pretty funny. I hope. Individual games will be revealed this summer, so hopefully we'll wait and see what's going on. And then lastly, the only thing they had to talk about was the full Xbox Games Showcase is set for June 9th with a hidden but damn obvious clue to the next Call of Duty showing afterwards, which they're like, it's redacted. Everyone's like, it's fucking Call of Duty. Look at it,
Like
man.
you didn't fully even redact the Activision logo in the lower right. We know
right.
what it is.
That you could fit in there. And then the logo itself is literally from a Call of Duty. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we know what that is.
And there's also rumblings like we'll finally see Gear 6.
God, I
Like
hope so.
it's not a mention of if, it's a when now. So like, okay.
Yeah, there's been like some leaks from voice actors and stuff like that. I'm hopeful for it, but we'll see. So yeah, kind of an interesting one. I'm glad they're showing some stuff, but I guess right now is 'tis the season of indie titles because Nintendo had theirs. Now Xbox has had one. We're waiting on Sony to probably have one. And I guess more towards June, what would have been E3 is looking to be like the big announcements for a lot of people.
I still call it E3 season.
It feels right, doesn't it? It's like it's been our
still
whole
the spirit
lives.
It's spirit of E3. It's just not Reed Pop or whatever ESA guys who used to run it. It's just
Right.
the spirit of E3.
We should just make it a holiday type thing. Like have a day off to watch videos. All right, moving on. So this one is probably more just for me, but I'm going to go through this anyways. But I have been the Starfield supporter. I've been happy with my Starfield game since I got it. I've loved playing it. Yeah, it's got problems, but what frickin' Bethesda game hasn't when they come out? But we are now getting the May update, or as they call it, Update 4. You can get it now on Steam Beta, but I have it through Xbox, so I have to wait. But it's coming to all platforms later this month. The maps are getting a high detailed surface now, which actually shows environmental details. So when you pull up the map, you get like general stuff and where locations are, and you can fast travel. Now they actually show a render of the entire area, the buildings, all the stuff you found, which is going to be so much easier to find shit. Good God. So that'll be good. Cities themselves have got more icons while you're playing, so you can see where everything is to get around, which is going to be a little cluttered in some of the bigger spots, but just makes more sense because I hate remembering where the hell everything is. They updated gameplay options, which they changed like the capacity of vendor credits, carry weights, new difficulties up or down for parts of games. So if space combat is too difficult for you, but you love the shooting, you can actually make the shooting harder and the ship battles easier. However you want to balance that, which is great. Because that also, I kind of view that as an accessibility thing. They don't talk about that way, but if somebody is playing with a rig they have to use and ship flights might be more difficult for them, they can maintain whatever difficulty they want for the parts they can play well and can make this part easier for them, which, difficulty level, no matter what people argue, is an accessibility thing, I feel. So, great. I'm always down for that. But then they also went and added the extreme difficulty option, which is just like, oh, okay, it wasn't hard enough for you. Good luck. Here you go. Yeah, more things are going to kill you a lot. Ship customization has gotten a big update. So now the inside of the ships you can detail every little thing just like you can at bases or your houses, which is great because like I liked how some of them are laid out, but I want to change things and put things up and clear it out. And I can do that soon. And they're also adding HABs or HABs, some of the environmental stuff that you can buy and add to your ship that are completely empty, nothing in them whatsoever. So you can go in and add your touches without having to move or remove things. So customization is always fun. I'm going to have to make something just stupidly weird in mine. There's going to be an engineering workstation, at least one place with soldering irons everywhere. Has to be a cluttered desk and soldering irons. That will be my thing. And a 3D printer if I can find one in that game. And the other big one that people were kind of going into, performance is now, and I know I skipped over one, but I'll go back to it in a second. Performance for Series X can go to 60 FPS now. I was fine with it at 30, but if people want to have 60, they do recommend you use a VRR, variable refresh
Otherwise,
screen.
we'll get tearing.
Yeah, you'll get tearing on it, but that's kind of the point. And a lot of people are kind of aiming for more of a 40 FPS, I guess, is the golden point people like with those. But the option is there. Huh?
Can you do that?
Yeah. 40
All
FPS.
I ever hear is 30 or 60. I didn't think there was an in-between.
Yeah, the people that actually worry about how these things run, there are other options. Like 30 is fine for me for most games, which, by the way, Endless Ocean runs at 30, but you're swimming slow. Who cares? But if you've got a good 30 and it's running consistent, I find that more enjoyable than a 60 that fluctuates or a bunch of screen tearing, because that makes a flicker and it's really noticeable. If you have a VRR screen, it will wait to refresh until the next screen is ready, which smooths things out so much better when it stays in that, 60 to 40 range. It fluctuates, it'll look better. So that's on there, but there'll be 60 FPS on Series X. So shut up, people. You got your stuff. New Game Plus changes have been added. This is Steven's favorite part. He loves New Games Plus.
New Game Plus.
Yeah, Mew Game Plus. This will have cats now.
They should just charge for this.
Say what?
They should charge for this one.
I'm glad they don't. You can respec your traits now. So instead of just taking the same character every time, you're starting a new game, you can change it to be a different lifestyle or everything going on and affect your gameplay to be able to explore it without making a whole new save. So a lot of this, honestly, I do feel like probably should have been there to begin with, but a lot of games change over time, so I'm okay with that. There's some quality of life changes they did. Like dialogue camera can be turned off now. So when you talk to somebody, you guys probably remember from like a lot of Bethesda games, it'll like zoom in on their face and they're like right there talking to them. Which leads to fun bugs when someone walks in between you, all of a sudden, like their face is stuck there. You can turn that off, so it'll just stay normal view as gameplay. I might do that, actually. It seems like less moving around. And then the container and barter menu system has been updated to make it easier to see what you're doing. Lastly, they had big hints about Shattered Space expansion that's supposed to be coming later this year, along with other updates, but they didn't just talk about it. They showed somebody using it in game. There are land vehicles coming. So you can finally drive around, and I'm curious how that's going to affect it, because when you go onto a planet, it's an instance of an area. Like they can't do the entire planet. That would be ridiculous. So you're kind of instanced to that spot. People would walk for a really long time to get to the very end of it. I wonder how that's going to be with a vehicle. Like, are they going to try to expand it out, or are you just going to hit that faster? And of course, we're getting new quests and other modes, which makes sense with an expansion. So, any of this make you guys interested in playing Starfield at all?
I'm going to probably still get back into it because I was already starting it. It's just when it comes to open world games that don't have much music, they tend to be too relaxing. So I have to play it. I have to play it with like a full day or night's amount of sleep, a good 8 hours, because I know the game's going to be really relaxing. But I did get the upgrade because it was on sale. That includes the Shattered Space. So I like little things like this because then it shows that, hey, we're basically going to make this thing a space Skyrim at one point, where it's got enough updates that people are like, it's just right, ready for modding and just right now.
Yeah, the full suite of the modding kits, they've already sent that out to, I guess they've got trusted people that they work with now that are building stuff for it, and before they release it to everybody, but it is coming. What about you, Chris? Can we get you into this space D&D maybe?
I don't even play Baldur's Gate. It's just there. So
yeah, I find that surprising, actually. Baldur's Gate 3 just seems right up your alley.
A lot of it, eventually. Everybody keeps bothering me. Eventually.
He's currently playing all his old games again. So when he's done with that.
Gotcha. So never. All right.
Yeah. After he beats Persona 5, SMT3, and
SMT5.
and Pizza Tower
again.
And SMT5 again, then he'll be like, okay, I'll play a new game for a couple minutes.
Then someone will mention something, he'll play SMT5 again, and then
Then a new
We love
power
you
You guys
wash
know how
level.
it goes.
Then a power wash level will come out and be like, let's do that instead. And
Oh my god. How all right, so it would be if they actually came out with like an SMT update for Power Wash, would he
It
play
couldn't.
that or go play SMT5?
I'd play both. Why would
You
I
must
choose?
choose one, Chris.
She's,
One.
he's the little girl. Why not both? Yay!
I would have one on my laptop, one on my TV, and I'd have 2 controllers, and I'd just be like,
Oh man. You're like, how come you've got like, lizard DNA now? Like, what? That's great. Gecko DNA. That's what I'm thinking of.
there you go.
All right. On to our next one, which is just the first of a couple
Corporate greed.
stories that we have going on. This one is really freaking annoying from collectors. So Limited Run Games is not seemingly, they have sent out discs on CDRs and instead of pressing the discs. This has been found for a couple of games, including Plumbers Don't Wear Ties and D for the 3DO, and Super Monkey Ball, Monkey Island Anthology replacement discs on PC. I guess people had issues with some of the discs. When they got their replacements, they were CDRs instead of pressed discs, so they actually were fixing an issue with another issue, which isn't good. Limited Run, before I'd had issues prior, like with what happened with Doom, they were good about swapping it out, but that was on a cartridge. I don't have many disc-based games from them that I've gotten over the years. Plumber's PC edition was DVD-R, not just C. And then the other problem is like the CDRs for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties and D, a lot of 3DOs couldn't play them. I guess, as the hardware gets older, they lose the ability to possibly read those. Or if there's variations, they may never have been able to read them because older systems had problems reading CDRs. I remember when that first happened, there was like music players that if you burned a CDR, it wouldn't work. You had to have an RW or just couldn't do it. So Limited Run Game claims, and I love how this is in quotation marks, so we're going to Dr. Evil claims the hell out of this. It only affected D and is sending out replacement discs, although that kind of mars the sealed collectability for a lot of people. They did come out later and try and say that they're sending out press discs quickly for some of these, but they said the reason they did it before is I guess 3DO making them press disc was tricky to do. Yet, as Voltaire pointed out, then how come you're all of a sudden able to do it? That doesn't make sense.
Why did you like to say send it out? I was just like, this isn't Hell's Kitchen. You can't just, or Kitchen Nightmares. You can't just get the food back and make it again. Now you've sent out sealed copies that people are now looking at their collection and be like, wait, so I don't have a playable game in there, and now I'm being sent just another disc that's supposed to be the actual press disc and not like a full replacement. And I can understand if it was like one of those big limited things, but most of them you're getting just the box and instructions. So it's like, I don't think that's too much to ask for what you've done, because it's, you're really hurting your fan base for the ones you have when it comes to the CD-based systems, that people are now going to be like, I don't know about this edition or something like that, or they're just going to roll the dice saying, I'm not going to open it anyway. But still, it just, for something like that to happen, it's just, you don't want to get something sealed and then say, by the way, nothing in there works. We're going to send you a new disc, because they also recently had a soundtrack issue, which is a little bit different because that's easier because you're listening to the music CDs. They said one of the music CDs in one of their collections didn't work, so they're sending out replacement discs for that. And I'm fine with that, because I was like,
manufacturing issues can happen normally.
And I was like, that sounds normal because that's, music CDs and such. But to have games basically that are kind of like, I don't know, like people on Etsy who do reproductions. I was like, you're not just selling us reproductions. You're trying to sell us professionally backed up reproductions.
Right. And that's the funny thing. Like the Plumbers Don't Wear Ties for 3DO, if I remember correctly, was an April Fool's joke. Like it was they're selling it. It's supposed to be playable, but it was only available on April Fools because they'd released it for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, all that stuff. And those are released normally. Why couldn't they have just been like, we're doing the box and all this stuff. It'll come with a disc, but just say it's not going to be playable. It's just a viewable thing. Just like, what was the Sega CD game that's coming out for Game Boy Advance? They joked like would never be on Nintendo. And then it's just a video of the game. You're
Night Trap.
Yeah. Night Trap. Thank you. Because I ordered Night Trap on their April Fools last year for Game Boy Advance because that's just stupid and funny to me. But they clearly said this is not playable. Like you can put it in and watch the video, but it's not the game. They could have just done that. People would have bought it as a joke. They would have been like, "Oh, this is funny. I'll go ahead and get it."
I don't know if they should have charged $70 if they were going to
No,
do
I agree.
like that.
I
but
agree. Yeah, I don't think. I know mine was a little bit expensive, but it's also they're making a cartridge, so I kind of understood that.
Yeah, but like $70 for a 3DO game that's supposed to be playable, because people were kind of thinking it as a kind of finally a reprint of a bad but hard to get game, and then the other one was a cult classic. It's just why.
I'm looking forward to playing that one. It just looks so terrible, but I'm more interested in the documentary stuff. Like it just seems hilarious.
This might have just been a fluke. You know, they might have actually meant to print it on playable discs, but somebody might have screwed up. You know, it's one of those things where
it's just not a good look because
oh no,
Yeah.
not, definitely not.
I only saw their response finally because one of the sites called Cheap Ass Gamer was just basically poking the bear, so to speak, and made a joke saying CDR replacement forms or request CDRs here, and it was a link to limited run support page.
Oh Jesus!
So, and then they were like, "Hey, just to give some light to the situation, it only affected D," and everybody's like, "No, it didn't." So it's like, you guys need a better response.
Yeah, that's. I think for a lot of limited runs, problems has been their PR people don't do very well. Every time there's an issue, they just kind of shut down or deflect or whatever instead of just kind of addressing it. Because I think even for the replacement discs, you're having to go in and request them. People are like, if you messed up, you should just send them out to the people you have.
Yeah, like the soundtrack they caught, and they actually said in an email to me, like, we're replacing this. And I'm like, well, I didn't order that, so that's fine. But they gave a production update on all these games and said, by the way, we found an issue with the soundtrack. And I was like, okay. But then these other two, I'm like, did you guys do a QA? Did you do anything to make sure that the disc was good?
Yeah.
Or did you just say, print it? Literally.
Who knows? I loved a lot of the responses. There was people that were like, hey, I've got an old CD burning farm from back in the day when I'd make, music off Napster and stuff. Like, if you need help making more, I'll let you borrow. Like, oh man, they're getting ripped
I got
apart.
Nero burning ROM for you.
Right. Oh man. So we'll have to, hopefully we'll get an update on that eventually and see where it's going. All right. So next up, Atari seems to have revived Infogames. It's Infogrames, isn't it? Not games. I always say Infogames.
Infograms.
Yeah, it's such a weird word. Anyways, they revived them. Their publishing label and intends to expand its portfolio, quote, primarily through acquisition, which...
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah,
Playoffs.
So many.
Sorry.
Yeah, because we're not talking about them as we usually don't because it's a lot, but I'm still going to mention the fact there has been recently a couple companies that have had complete shutdowns and layoffs from Take-Two, which is one of the largest gaming developers in the world, who's making billions of dollars in profit, still reaping in money from, Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, that had successfully made, well-reviewed, really popular titles that were making money. They did everything you're supposed to do to be a successful company. And they were like, yeah, all right, we're just going to go ahead and shut both of them down. So yeah, it's just, this whole industry is a mess right now. But back to Atari. So the company has already made good on that pledge after purchasing totally reliable delivery service from TinyBuild Infogrames has acquired the game, trademarks, and underlying property from Tiny Build, which previously published the title for an undisclosed fee. So,
Well, I wonder if they're gonna buy Ali Ali and Roll 7 or whatever.
God, I don't know.
Roller. Who knows?
Atari has entered the Borg. That's how this is going. Yeah, resistance is futile. You will be on the next 2600.
Acquisitions is the new vibe.
God. So the gaming company is devolving into amoebas, I guess. They're just slowly eating everything around them until they become something else or die. I don't know. So we'll see. All right.
Corporate dittos walking around.
Corporate what?
Corporate dittos walking around.
Oh God!
Right. So, do you like Star Trek? How would you like Star Trek if it was owned by Sony? Because Sony and Apollo have made a $26 billion cash offer for all of Paramount Pictures. And that includes Paramount Plus, which I agree, Steven, might run better. But I am worried how Sony would... I've had a lot of problems with that stupid app recently, but it's still... I can watch stuff on it. I worry about Sony running Star Trek, mainly. Because Star Trek tends to be something that's kind of spread around. And I worry they will consolidate that, like the games can only be on their stuff and so forth. And I don't know how that would go. And yes, that is totally a me issue about that, because I am a huge Star Trek nerd. And I'm like, Paramount's been doing fine with it for a while. Leave it alone.
Do you think, in a funny way, just to harken back to the Microsoft Rare days, that if Sony, God forbid, does go through with this deal, they're like, cool, we own Halo now.
Yeah, because that's the other great part.
And then they're like, wait, cancel that. And then the
Yeah.
series gets canceled because it's a Microsoft property.
I could see them doing that out of spite, because Paramount Plus does have the Halo series. Love it or hate it.
So
Hate it.
that means if they do buy Paramount Pictures, eventually I'll need to sign in with my PSN account, right?
Oh my God. And we'll get into that one. That's funny though. If Sony does this, Sony's making the Zelda movie for Nintendo, then they would also be helping to make the Halo series for Microsoft.
They're the Fortnite of streaming.
And then they still went to what? Peacock to do their other show?
It's all
For
connected,
Twisted Metal?
man.
You think they'd go after Peacock? That's why they're doing stuff. Oh, that's right. No one watches Peacock.
Ooh.
I did today.
Did you
Twisted
sit
Metal
on the
was all right.
I'm about to say, did you sit on the remote? What happened?
No, it was a wrestling live event.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. I don't want to see too many. So many of these different studios have consolidated. Like Disney's been like the big warning of like, okay, cool, you got Fox back. Yeah, you can do that stuff with Marvel, but it's like, stop, calm down. But I don't know. But remember, Sony also doesn't have that much money, they keep saying, yet they had $26 billion in cash, however much Apollo put forward. I don't know who they are or what they do with that, but
Yeah, that name came out of nowhere. I was like, didn't you fight Rocky? I was like, who? Who are you?
Apollo Creed. Oh, man. All right. Moving on to our last story of the night. And once again, more...
Corporate greed.
That's twice we got to use that. Rachel isn't with us today, but she is in spirit and our sound effects. So, Helldivers 2. It has been the darling of gaming this of 2024. It's become hugely popular. Absolutely fantastic for crossplay between PC and PlayStation. Just an underdog showing what a $40 game could really do. And Sony had to come in and just shit all over it.
Sony has entered the chat.
Yeah. So Helldivers 2 is now requiring all PC players to create and register a PlayStation Network ID in order to play the game. The problem with that, because I've heard so many people, oh, just suck it up. It's 28 seconds of your life. You'll get over it. You're fine. Cool. That doesn't count the over 150 countries plus that are, yeah, that's the look, Chris, right there. 150 countries plus that cannot log in and have a PlayStation Network account. So because of that, they now lose the ability to play this game they paid for, that they could play just fine on Steam. So that's where the problem comes in. So Sony Interactive Entertainment announced Thursday night that current players of the runaway hit co-op shooter will have to connect their Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network account starting on May 30th with a hard deadline of June 4th. New players will be required to connect the two starting Monday, May 6th. So by the time you listen to this, it'll be a requirement for anyone who buys the game new. That number is going to be a lot less than they're hoping for, though, because this game has gotten review bombed to hell and back on Steam. It's been nasty. Sony's excuse officially, I'm going to use air quotes again because officially, this is happening because of the safety and security provided on PlayStation and PlayStation Studio games. How many times your ass has been hacked? Account linking allows Sony to ban abusive players, which they could already do. That wasn't a thing. It also gives banned players the right to appeal. They're not going to listen anyway, so what's the point? Sony writes that it would have done this at launch, but due to technical issues of being ungodly popular, we allowed the linking requirements for Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network account to be temporarily optional. That grace period will now expire. So, that being the case, why then did they not stop the game from being sold in the countries that they knew cannot have PlayStation Network accounts? They were perfectly happy to rake in that cash and that player base and brag about how many people are playing their game that now are being cut out.
That's probably why Steam is allowing refunds.
Yep. And which has been really funny. So players have tried getting around this in any way they can. They've tried signing up for PlayStation networks that are listed as being outside their country, which is against Sony's terms of service, which has led to players being banned. They've tried using a VPN to make it look like they're playing from other countries, which is already not good for them having to play through a VPN the entire time. That also is against terms of service, which has also led to bans. So people in these countries are losing this game they paid for and have been putting hundreds of hours into in some cases just to have it wiped out. Go ahead, Stephen.
Just to also include the last point of this was that the community manager, after not understanding the full scope of things, did have a faux pas in the beginning where, like you said, he was saying, get over it. It doesn't take that long to sign up.
Yeah.
Then finding out himself that how many countries did not support the PSN creation or PlayStation accounts. He did do a heartfelt apology. He understands. All of this is coming from Sony. It has pissed off Arrowhead greatly. The entire dev team is really mad. Even the CEO put the "this is fine" dog when he saw all the reviews coming. He was just like, it keep it coming. So recently, the Arrowhead Studios community manager goes by the name of Spitz. He shed more light in a Discord message.
Good.
And he clarified that if a better solution is not provided for players who are in regions without the PSN coverage, he's being assured that they won't make the requirement mandatory for those players. Essentially, the studio will not force people to either break Sony's TOS or not play the game. He encourages what's going on right now with the refunds, the bad reviews, because it is the easiest way to reach Sony is in their pockets. So when he sees that their popularity or their funds are going down, they're not going to read Discord. They're not going to read your petitions, but they will see that their sales are plummeting and they'll be like, what happened? We can tell you what happened, basically. So yeah. And on my opinion, like I can see the discourse. There is two sides to it. It is getting more fleshed out now, but in the beginning, I didn't see why a lot of people were getting so mad. Only because, yes, I'm going to say this on the console side of things, but I'm used to signing up for 2K accounts, Warner Brother account, Ubisoft account, EA Origins account.
Xbox accounts, like Microsoft accounts.
And then when you play MMOs, that's 2 accounts as well on consoles. So,
oh god, everything I had to jump through to play Final Fantasy 14 on my Xbox is just a
so
story.
For me, and let's not forget the Fortnite accounts that can also get hacked. And it's like, okay, and and then you see stuff like even Minecraft. You log in with Microsoft, so I
That's
don't
why I
know
don't
why.
play any of those games.
You should play
You
Minecraft.
played some
It is
of them,
good.
you just didn't know it. But anyway, to just go through that, I said, "Oh, I don't get why this one was like such a hot topic, other than the fact of it was revealed later." And I think that the problem comes with Sony one revealing it later, blaming it on a technical issue, and
Making it
not even
mandatory.
disclosing it in their own FAQ, their own terms of service, when they said
Yep.
it's always going to be mandatory, because now people are doubting all future PlayStation PC releases, pulling a Ubisoft and saying you need to sign into our account to play our games.
Yeah, because they were caught changing their terms of service because it clearly said it was not a requirement, and then they changed it earlier today, stating that it is a requirement to have to do that now. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's funny. We were just reading this, and here's what it said before, and you didn't ask us. You just changed it." And I'm sure there's some stupid wording in the middle of that whole thing that says like we can change it whenever we want without telling you, but that's still bullshit. Like for just
Yep.
the whole fact
It
of what
doesn't
that's
mean
doing.
we won't know you did it.
Right. And like, you're right. I understand, logging in for the stuff. You and I, it's not that big a deal. I'll log into it probably later tonight after we get off the show. If we want to play for a little bit, I'll just have to remember my login, sign in, and I'm done. But there's a lot of players, entire countries worth of players that is not
Yeah.
the option, including all of China, which is not a small market. And the fact that Valve is allowing the refunds, they were showing like one guy had like almost 100 hours of gameplay who got a full refund. And that goes back to Sony. Sony is responsible for paying back those refunds whenever they're issued. It's not Valve doing it. They just say it's okay, and then that has to be paid by Sony.
So just know this is one of those situations where the dev team is on the side of the players, going against the
Yep.
corporate greed, saying this isn't right.
Yep, because everyone and them along.
What the ass, guys?
So, yeah. So, like, a lot of the arguments, people have just kind of overreacted, I think, with it. But when it waters down to it, there are a lot of people being affected by this in a very bad way. So, I don't like them just changing those requirements over and over, because all this boils down to, just straight up, is Sony wants to pad how many people they have signed, because it's going to be a huge, they expected all these people to sign up and have PlayStation Network accounts and then be like, look how many more people we have on PSN now, even though they're
good
not
financials.
right. They're not paying for the service or anything. It's just a login, but we have them on there. You don't know if they're paying or not. I still count, and I don't pay for PlayStation Network because I don't play PlayStation games online. It's not worth it to me to pay that much a year for one or two games that I may not even play. I'll just play it on my PC. I'm good. So, don't know. All right, so let's jump into the big question. Yay. This is kind of a quick and easy one, just talking about because of all the discourse around Endless Ocean and some of the other titles. So, how much do you rely on reviews for the games you play? Steven, start with you.
So there are two types of reviews for me.
Yeah, I figured we'd get into details on that. It's not going to be a simple answer.
Well, it's kind of simple for me. It's
That's fair enough.
It's just categorized. There's the ones that have been given a copy or have been given rules when they review it, because there's even a Discord on YouTube right now with review sites saying when you badly review something, you're going to kill a company, and people are like,
"Oh, that's bullshit."
You review a product, you review it honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do not rely on the reviews from some of the bigger sites half the time, because they seem to just focus on the wrong things, as we said in the beginning with Endless Ocean.
Yep.
Too much water. Too much water.
So
Too many fish.
When they do that, and they just open up a thesaurus to use all these different words to describe things, they're padding it. It's kind of like looking for the actual recipe on a recipe site. I don't need a history. I don't need to know how old your grandma was when she created bread. There's all these like backstory to it, and I don't need to know the backstory. what I do need and the reviews I do rely on is ones that not just go into technical, because I don't need to know the 3060, but can tell me important facts about multiplayer and co-op games. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is a big thing like Evil West. Evil
Mhm.
West, they do not tell you on the back of the box. They only tell you once you've gotten the game that it is one of those games where your co-op partner does not share your progress through the game. He just is a clone of you and a husk. So he's not even the secondary character that's featured on the back of the box. That character is just a story character. So it's important things like that for the review to include is when it says stuff like cutscenes aren't skippable, or when you die, you don't have a checkpoint. You start over the level, or the fact that yes, the progression does not save to the other players. Those are
As we
things in
found
the
in Redfall.
reviews. Those are things in the reviews I want to hear, and I want to hear if your game does a hard crash, a freeze, if you get a saved game glitch, anything like that, because those show me that you didn't play it just to be like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Okay, it's good. I need to know things that people are used to having now. Like how is it cross-play, or how did it work? Was there stuttering? Was there connection issues? Like that can make or break a game. Look at Payday 3 just being an absolute mess at launch
Yeah.
in terms of connecting with players. So, yeah, I like the reviews that seem to be more of the YouTube variety, because those are down to earth people who want to be honest. And when people appreciate that, you get more followers, you get more subscribers, and then you just gravitate towards those reviews because you know that person's going to nitpick what you perceive as the most important thing, which is how do these modes work. So again, like when IGN and stuff are like, oh, it's 3 out of this or 5 out of this, I was just like, what did you go in playing the game as? Because I can show you guys, I can find the link, but there was this one guy who hates Rock Band on Polygon, and he
Mhm.
was told to review the game, and he ripped into it as like the worst day of his life, and he hated the game completely. And people like, you were assigned a game you didn't want to play. What did you expect? So that's what you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
And Polygon likes to, we see stuff with Stellar Blade. We saw it with Dragon's Crown, where people are just like, the game's too sexy, the body is unrealistic. I'm just like, that doesn't affect your score, and it shouldn't, but it did. So it's kind of like Rotten Tomatoes or anything else. You just got to watch who's reviewing what.
Right.
But give me all the technical stuff. Stay away from, I didn't like how the guy jumped. So.
All right. Chris, what about you?
Honestly, I do not rely on internet reviews. Most of
Okay.
the games I buy are either from teasers, from personal research, or from word of mouth. Honestly, I know enough people at this point that know my taste and will say, you need to play this game. There's a lot of blood / food / anime. And I'll be like, okay. But if something intrigues me and
Mhm.
I've been seeing a lot of news about it, that means, is it good news or is it bad news? Then I'll look into it. But usually the style and teaser of a game are enough to keep me interested, and then I'll try it.
Okay. Does that pretty much cover for any medium that you're dealing with, not just games?
Honestly, yeah, but video games for the most part. I do tend to judge a book by its cover, because with video games you can do that.
So if they said Metaphor was like the worst RPG to come out of Atlas in forever, would you still try it?
Yes.
If they messed up and it had like an absolutely terrible cover art, but the game was, you thought the game might be good, but the art looked terrible.
The thing is, from what I've seen of the teaser, there you go. That's the cover. I consider the teaser the book cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we weren't
That's
being
what I
fair.
mean,
Sorry
judging a
about
book
that.
by its cover. No. It's okay. You can take it literally. I was being metaphoric.
Oh my god. And Steven's out. That's the back of his chair, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Strike one.
Strike one. So reviews for me kind of go a little different. Like I like to watch different reviews for the fact of seeing, because like when I see the games, I kind of make my own opinion on it, you know, how I think of it, like with the trailers and so forth. But I do like watching certain ones. And I think even for larger groups like IGN and so forth, you tend to kind of find somebody that seems to like games like you do. And if they're reviewing something or have a thought on it, I don't mind hearing that, because I'm like, okay, let's see what they think about it. They may enjoy it, but point out something that you're like, oh, okay, well, I might want to know about that. And I also agree. We talked about earlier, like the cost of a game or something shouldn't really be a factor. That is something that is going to fluctuate and change. As for someone saying, oh, this is too sexy, that's kind of a weird one, but it's also their opinion on that. Like that's going to be how their score is. That's fine. If someone does score something badly and that is their opinion, I just take it as such. It's not the end of the world. If I'm still interested to play it, it's my money. I'm a big boy. I'll just go get it and try it. And I see so many variations on these, specifically with Endless Ocean. You know, I think IGN gave it a 3. The highest one I saw was a 7. I was like, I'm not expecting this to be this massive, crazy game of doing stuff. I'm swimming in the water looking for fish. That is what I am doing. And I'm enjoying it. I went by the fact of what I had before, you know, because I've played the previous games. I'm looking for the PS2 one you told me about, Steven. I'm hell-bent on getting that one now. But the ones on the Wii were some of my favorites. I grew up around water and stuff like that, so that's kind of, I already knew that would be my side of it. Go ahead, Steven.
I just want to point out for anybody who remembers history, 12 years ago, or more now, even longer, maybe 17 years ago.
Oh, God.
IGN gave a 3 out of 10 to God Hand, which is a cult classic now, which got the same score as Imagine Party Babies. So you know, this is where these things come in hand. Like people just didn't get certain games, and now like people would give their right hand for another God Hand.
And that's true with a lot of stuff with reviewers, like movies. Like what was it? The Evil Dead and The Thing were both critically panned. Like these are terrible movies, and both of those series are just horror staples.
Cultural
for a lot of stuff.
mainstays at this point.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness are that's a huge forming of my childhood in regards to comedy horrors and stuff like that. And The Thing, oh my God, that movie's so good. But like I said, for reviews for me, I will watch them, but I tend to kind of have set ones that I will go back and watch. I think, what is it, like Game Ranks? I like how they handle some of those. They do like the before you buy and stuff, where it's just, they tend to have the same people that will just kind of go in, talk about it, and they're very forward of like, this isn't normally my type of game, but this is what I liked, or this is what I didn't, or, you know, if you have a bias, cool, put it out there. That should be part of it. Don't BS me. Just say it, you know, because I do sometimes find it interesting. Like, I hate racing games normally, but I really had fun with this. Like, cool, you know.
There you go. If anything, that's an even bigger, a bigger point. If you know a reviewer that doesn't like a certain kind of game, but you already like that reviewer, and they say, but this I like, that's a big plus.
Go ahead, Steven.
And sometimes you have to wonder, staff or lack of staff is when a lot of releases are coming out the same day, and you're like, okay, I have to review this huge game like an Elden Ring DLC against a Final Fantasy Rebirth, and then I have to review Princess Peach Showtime. It's just like, what's going to give me more time? Is one person going to do each game?
Right.
And it reminds me of like, you know, Chris and I will know this movie, but UHF
I know that one. Yep.
Famously went against movies like Ghostbusters 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Weekend at Bernie's, Lethal Weapon 2, Batman. So, yeah, sometimes the cards are stacked against you, but that shouldn't mar its quality. You should still give it a try and not, you know, say like, you know, with all these other movies, why would you see that one? It's like, with all these other games, why would you play this one?
Right. So basically the way I see it, like reviews are good to watch, listen to, and to get like talking points or maybe find other points of view. But in the end, you kind of have your circle of friends that, if a game's coming out, those of us on the show or on the Discord are going to be talking about it and like, oh, you should check this out or go from there. Like, how many things have the three of us alone just said, hey, go check this out or go try this game? What was it, earlier this year? You got me to go play Pizza Tower and, stuff like that. Like that never came into my wheelhouse whatsoever. Never saw a review of it. Didn't see anything about it. Straight up just on Chris's comment, go get this. I went, I bought it, and
Chris
it's been
got
hilarious.
me to play Infernax and completely destroy that game because he said, and I quote, "I can never beat this game. The deaths are too hilarious."
Well, I think, what was it, Steven? I think you got me into Power Wash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like just the three of us alone, we've gotten each other into different games that we would not have normally. I've seen reviews for some of this stuff and I've gone back and checked out reviews for them after the fact, but find the people that are around you that you trust and talk to them and kind of get those opinions and go from there, or just try things. Even if it's reviewed badly, sometimes it's worth watching. It can be fun. Unlike Trolls 2. That's just terrible, but kind of want to watch it anyways. So, all right. I think that is a good discussion of this. That's kind of a last minute big question I threw together. I was like, let's just throw that in there.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it worked out. I like the topic. So if you would like to talk to us about this topic or many other ones that we have, join us over on our Discord over at bit.ly/Zenspath Discord. You can join up, talk to us there. We've got sections about books, comics, movies, games, 3D printing. We have a whole multiplayer section that we're kind of build up as we play different stuff and do things, which has been great. We're always looking for more people on there for fun. Then if you want to talk to us directly over on Twitter, you can find the show at Zenspath Podcast. And then if you're watching this video over at YouTube, you can listen to it anywhere you find your podcast by searching for Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. And if you're listening to it and you'd like to watch, like as the aforementioned YouTube, you can find it at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. Basically Zenspath.com without the period. Leave us a thumbs up, share it, leave us a comment. That helps a lot. Whatever kind of interaction we get helps the show grow, gets more people to watch it, and helps us out. All right. This has been episode 128 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we are out. Peace.
Got a bad feeling about this.
Next episode, sign up for PlayStation Network to get the show.